Wild parties, extreme hazing, and tragic accidents are common occurrences within college fraternities. The cases I'm about to share with you highlight the dangers of participating in off-campus activities hosted by fraternity organizations. Each of these incidences could have been prevented. Negligence, drunkenness, and a complete disregard for safety ultimately created deadly circumstances. The stories I'm going to share with you are disturbing and, to be frank, quite morbid, so watch at your own discretion. That being said, relax, sit back. This is going to be a good video. In November of 2021, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, a fraternity at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, hosted a charity fight night event that ended up taking the life of one of their members. The days leading up to the event, college junior Nathan Valencia would train hour after hour in preparation for his fight with Emmanuel Allman, a member of a rival fraternity, Kappa Sigma. Nathan was going to be fighting in the main event. This fight night event had a reputation of being violent, unorganized, and rowdy. It brought hundreds of people and has been proven to raise thousands of dollars. On November 19th, the event was held at an old roller hockey rink with a ring set up, surrounded by hundreds of chairs. 9 boxing matches, with 3 rounds and 3 minutes per round, was the event's layout. Audience members described the boxing event as poorly orchestrated, with complete disregard for fighter safety. The referee was drunk, some fighters had loose headgear, and most of them had little to no boxing experience. The main event took place around 10 p.m., with the majority of attendees being pissed drunk, including the event's referee and fraternity's medical personnel. The match started with both fighters swinging like their lives depended on it. Numerous rules were broken by both fighters, including leg shots and shots to the back of the head. The referee didn't correct their mistakes, which made the event more dangerous. Lack of boxing technique would cause both fighters to 360 spin, thus exposing the back of their heads. Hitting your opponent in the back of the head is illegal and very dangerous. Round after round, Nathan received multiple shots to the head, barely being able to finish the match. The referee ended the fight with Emmanuel being the victor. Valencia was disoriented, barely being able to stand up. Meanwhile, a fight broke out within the crowd, during which Nathan collapsed in the ring. A woman, claiming to be a nurse, attempted to drag Nathan by his ankles in order to avoid being stepped on. Someone in the audience called 911 after witnessing the severity of Nathan's injuries. Medics arrived on the scene only to be met with drunk college kids unable to assist. They couldn't get his name or assess the situation. They rushed him to the hospital, where he spent 3 days in a coma. Unfortunately, he passed away on November 23rd from blunt force trauma. The incident was ruled a homicide that left his family traumatized. After this tragic event, nobody wanted to claim responsibility for the poorly organized event that ultimately claimed the life of a young man. The venue's owner, University, and Sigma Alpha Epsilon denied any responsibility relating to the death of Nathan Valencia. Nathan's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the university, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, and Event Center. The university tried to settle for $150,000. Nathan's family declined their offer and are going through with the lawsuit. Emmanuel Allman received death threats, hateful messages, and backlash for his role in Nathan's death. Rumors are circulating that Emmanuel had put weighted objects in his gloves prior to his match. These rumors lack evidence, so we cannot confirm this. In the end, a young man lost his life because the fraternity hosted an underground fight club. Extreme hazing is a common problem within fraternities across the United States. Hazing is essentially a humiliation ritual that is meant to initiate pledges into the fraternity. Hazing can last for weeks before a pledge is initiated into the organization. The hazing can range from rigorous workouts while being yelled at to being degraded by other members. Depending on the fraternity, pledges will have to go through a grueling process just to join the organization. When I attended university, I witnessed a humiliation ritual at school. I attended a lecture with 300 students. It was a math class. Now, there was these kids pledging for a fraternity. I think they were freshmen. Like 4 of them showed up to class wearing a suit and tie, dress shirt. Now, that's not too bad, but what they were wearing under was pretty disgusting, and to be frank, quite fruity. They were wearing booty shorts, and each day they had to cut the shorts shorter and shorter, so the next day the shorts would be shorter than the day they were before. Yeah, which is pretty fruity and, to be frank, a little weird. Now, our school has like a anti-hazing rule, so I don't know how they got away with this. Yeah, that's just one example. Things get worse. Check this out. In some cases, pledges are peer pressured into drinking ungodly amounts of alcohol. On October 19th, 2021, Danny Santulli would participate in a hazing ritual that left him paralyzed, blind, and unable to speak. Phi Gamma Delta is a fraternity at the University of Missouri that had a reputation for extreme hazing. On the night of the tragic accident, Phi Gamma Delta would haze their new pledges, then finish the night off with a party. Around 10 p.m., Santulli would be pressured into finishing an entire bottle of vodka. At 11 p.m., he would start to fall over and lose the ability to walk. His frat brothers decided to leave him on the couch. About 2 hours later, they decided to check his pulse. A couple of them decided to take him to the hospital. One of the boys dropped him on his head before putting him in the car. By the time they got to the hospital, Santulli's heart wasn't beating. The doctors realized he wasn't breathing and began to resuscitate him. The young man was put on a ventilator, where they determined he had severe brain damage. Santulli requires full-time care and will never be the same. Hazing, alcohol poisoning, and the fraternity's lack of care created an unsafe environment that ultimately ruined a young man's life. In February of 2005, Chi Tau, a fraternity located at Chico State University, began a 3-day hazing event that ended up claiming the life of one of their pledges. On February 2nd, the hazing became torture in a basement. Matt Carrington, along with another pledge brother, was forced into a basement filled with backed up sewer water. It was freezing cold. Meanwhile, the fraternity turned on ice water fans to keep them wet. There was garbage, beer cans, and feces littered on the basement floor. Both pledges were holding 5-gallon water jugs while trying to answer trivia questions. If a pledge didn't answer correctly, they would be forced to chug water and exercise on the floor, then chug more water. This caused both pledges to puke and urinate on themselves, creating a more nasty mixture of sewage, beer, and feces. Things became worse when Matt started to have seizures. The fraternity members didn't want to call 911 in fear of punishment. Instead, they carried Matt upstairs and laid him on the couch. About an hour went by before they decided to call an ambulance. By then, it was too late. Matt's brain and lungs had swelled to the point of no return. Water intoxication was the cause of death. What made this story so infuriating is that this young man could have been saved if his so-called brothers would have dialed 911 the moment he had a seizure. EMTs could have stopped Matt's brain from swelling. Instead, the 4 fraternity members waited until the young man stopped breathing to take action. This resulted in the tragic death of 21-year-old Matt Carrington. Gabriel Mastretti pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and misdemeanor hazing. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail along with 5 years probation. John Fix and Jerry Lim each pleaded guilty to being an accessory to manslaughter and to misdemeanor hazing. Carlos Abrille pleaded guilty to misdemeanor hazing. In honor of Matt Carrington, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed a bill named Matt's Law. It's an anti-hazing law that makes it a felony to kill or seriously injure someone during a hazing in the state of California, whether they are a student or a part of an organization recognized by the school. Each of these stories is sad because these kids joined an organization wanting to make new friends, wanting to have a good time, create new experiences, and they ended up changing their lives. Some of them died. If you think about joining a fraternity, join a fraternity that has your best interest at heart. Certain fraternities will haze you by making you do homework, go to the gym, do exercises, stuff like that, positive stuff. The fraternities that make you do degrading stuff that harms your body, excessively drinking, probably don't have your interest at heart. They just want to get off on torturing you. That being said, make your own decisions, be smart, and have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next one. Ski yacht.